Hey, and welcome back to another Business Booster live stream. And in this live stream, we are going to look at why your business is out of sync with 92% of your target audience. Let me say that again. Why your business is out of sync with 92% of your audience. Now, if you really are struggling to grow your business right now, if you're struggling to be able to transition from your day job into your passion driven business full time, if you know that you are plateaued, so you're only being able to bring in a certain amount of income and you want to now take it to the next level, then you want to continue watching this live stream because I'm going to share something with you that not many people speak about. Okay, not many people understand the rhythm and cycle of a buyer, the rhythm and cycle of the buyer's psychology. And this is what we're going to go deep into in this live stream. But not only that, I'm going to show you exactly what you can do as quick fixes to bring your business in line with 92% of your target audience, right? Crazy, yeah? If you're out of sync with 92% of your audience, what is that costing you right now? Just take a moment to think about it. What is it costing you not to be able to effectively communicate with 92% of your target audience? Is there any wonder why you're struggling in your business right now? Yeah, just take a moment to think about that. And while you're thinking about that, please let me know where you're joining me from. Okay, I know that people join me from all over the world on these Business Booster live streams. So let me know where you are in the comments below. Just say hashtag, let me know that you're there, say hi. Also, if you're watching live, then please say hashtag live. And if you're watching via replay, then again, please say hashtag replay. And also, just some housekeeping. Somewhere around this video, okay, there's going to be a link for you to be able to connect your StreamYard, okay, to this live stream because I'm streaming live from StreamYard. And so unless you do that connection, I can't actually see you communicating with me, okay? So please click the link and make sure that we can have an interaction because I like to make this as interactive as possible while packing it with absolute gems. So why is this subject really close to my heart? Well, I struggled, like most of you are right now, trying to grow my business, right? And I struggled because I was doing a lot of things that, as you're going to find out, was only speaking to a certain section of my market. And especially if you're starting out, right? Or if you're at those kind of, you're in that 8 to 10K parameter and you want to take it to the next level, then it gets to the point where you need to understand how to refine what it is that you are doing in order to not only increase your conversion rate, okay, so the amount of yeses you get on sales calls, but also to increase the number of leads that are coming into your business and also to improve your ability to nurture those leads. And it wasn't until I did that, right? So, focusing on Facebook ads, focusing on complicated funnels, focusing in on webinar strategies, and all of these tools that we are being fed constantly in the industry, right? How many times do you hear people talking about do challenges or people telling you to do webinars or to do Facebook ads, right? But when you're starting out and you're trying to cultivate a business and you want to get to the stage where you can now start reinvesting some of the money into that stuff, what happens then? Right? How do you get the business off the ground to the point where you can use those things to scale? Because this is the problem. Many of these approaches, they are wonderful. I use them too. Okay. So I'm not knocking those approaches. And I'm not knocking the people that teach those approaches too. But what I am knocking is that it's not an effective way if you are starting your business or if you are not hitting those 10K months to get your business to where you want it to be. And yes, there are some success stories. I know some of you are shouting, well, I know this person or I know that person that was able to make 10K off a challenge, right? But for every one success story, there's 100 that didn't make it, right? And if you've tried it and you haven't made it, then what's gone wrong? And this is why me and you need to have a chat, right? This is why you need to get your pen, get your paper, sit down and be ready to take some notes so you can really understand what it takes to grow a business to the point where you can then start scaling it. Okay. And that's why I'm so passionate about this subject, because until I learned what I'm going to share with you in this Business Booster live stream, I was not able to grow my business. So what did that mean? It meant that I couldn't go full time in my passion driven business. It meant that I stayed in a job for over a decade, a job that was not fulfilling me as a person, right? It meant that I was always second guessing my ability. Like, could I really do this? Could I really be a coach or a mentor? Right? It meant that I was constantly changing my offers all the time because I instinctively thought, well, if I can't sell it, there must be something wrong with the offer. But actually, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with your offer if you cannot sell your product or service. It means that haven't actually grown a brand. Okay, it means that you are focused in on a business and your business is only set up to speak to 8% of your audience. And that will become a lot clearer as I go through this Business Booster live stream. Now, one more thing I want to say is at the end of this, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work with me. Okay, so if you go through this and you feel alignment with me, if you feel that you've got tons of value, and if you're like thinking, how can I actually make this happen in my business right now, then you're going to not want to miss out on the opportunity. And I'll tell you how you can make that happen at the end of the session that we're on together. All right, good. So without further ado, you know that I love to just dive into some super awesome, juicy content. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you because I know some of you out there are visual and some of you want to be able to see what it is I'm saying so you can take notes and also begin to start implementing this inside your business. So I'm just going to share the screen right now and you should be able to see the screen. All right, awesome. So let me ask you the question again. We are going to investigate right now why your business is out of sync with 92% of your clients. Mind blowing, right? Okay, so where are you now? Maybe you're struggling to bring in a consistent stream of revenue into your business every single month. Like, how frustrating is that? Okay, that you cannot bring money into your business every single month. You can't depend on your business every single month. Okay, or you're having to dabble, you're having to kind of split your time and your energy. How exhausting is that, dabbling between a day job and your passion driven business? And tell me, which one ends up on the back burner? Because I know when I was doing it, when I was dabbling, I knew which one ended up on the back burner. It was always the passion driven business. So how do you expect to grow or move into your passion driven business full time? Okay, if it always ends up on the back burner. Just take a moment to think about that, right? Or maybe you have wanted to go full time or to hit your next financial level for a while, but you find yourself month after month unable to move forward. Let me break it down to you in simple terms. If you are doing the same thing and expecting a different result, stop it. Let me say it again. If you're doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it's time to stop. Okay, Albert Einstein said it's the first sign of madness. And a lot of you are just stuck doing the same thing over and over and over, not getting the results that you want, and not seeking out alternatives, right? So this is going to give you an alternative to that. Perhaps your day job is beginning to take a toll on your mental health, right? Think about it. If we spend all of our time working, and I really, really find it hard push to call what I do, right, coaching, working, because I freaking love it. But let's say you're spending your time, okay, and you're spending your energy in exchange for money. If that's the definition for working, well then I half agree because I'm also spending my time and energy to create massive transformation in the world. But that aside, if you're spending your time, most of your time working, then you want to be doing something that you enjoy, right? Because if you're not doing something that you enjoy, it's going to start taking a toll on you. Maybe you're having health challenges. Okay, maybe you're having regular visits to the doctor or you're getting sick all the time and you haven't quite equated it to the fact that you're on the brink of burnout because you are not being fulfilled in the job that you're in, or you're being taken for granted in the job that you're in. Okay, and so as a result, there's something not aligned with your spirit. And if you're not aligned with your purpose and what you're meant to be doing, that will, like no other, take a toll on your mental health. Maybe you get anxious on a daily basis, wondering where your next client is coming from. Geez, I remember how that felt, right? Where you're constantly thinking about this business. You're constantly trying to work out what the next move needs to be. Okay, you're on the brink where you get down in the dumps about it, you feel depressed about it, you feel like a failure, you go through imposter syndrome, all of these feelings that you have to deal with simply because you're not bringing in enough clients into your business. You doubt yourself, right? That's the worst one, where you're constantly second guessing what it is that you're doing. Maybe you're hearing the word no and it's potentially knocked your confidence, right? How many times have you heard the word no? Right? How many times have you brought someone onto a sales conversation and they've said to you, no, they're not ready to get started? And you're left thinking, why on earth are they not getting this? Why on earth do they not recognize that this is the thing that they need to take their life to the next level? Right? Maybe you're struggling to handle all the objections that are being thrown at you from potential clients. Well, let me flip it on the head. What if you were able to handle most of those objections before they even came onto the sales call? 'Cause that's what I'm talking about here, guys. It's about being able to handle those objections before they come onto the sales call. Okay, so that it makes your ability to close that sale a lot easier. Perhaps it feels like you're constantly chasing other clients, right? Maybe you're chasing and chasing and pushing and pushing and driving and driving. And what we need to do is get the balance here, because some people want to do the whole attraction marketing thing, right? Which is what I call it kumbaya on the end of a lake. Yeah, you're trying to fish, okay, but you're sitting there doing kumbaya at the end of the lake and expecting fish to come and jump into your arms. Okay, it's just the most absurd thing to me that people think that they can just use attraction marketing alone. Not that it doesn't work, because I use attraction marketing too. But when you know how to build a brand, you recognize that you have to have a number of things going on. The biggest and the best do, okay? Because if Tony Robbins, right, who's like one of the biggest coaches in the industry, if attraction marketing worked alone, all Tony Robbins would have to do is just turn up to a live stream and just deliver some kind of content to the live stream. And hey, presto, thousands would just come flocking, right? He would never have to do or work as hard as he does, right? But the thing is, the perception is that Tony Robbins doesn't have to work hard because he pays people. He's got the finances to pay people to do it for him, right? So don't ever get fooled by the fact that attraction marketing can work alone, because Tony Robbins, the biggest and the best, he has people on the ground selling on his behalf. Okay, and if the biggest and the best recognize that, then why can you not? Right? Why do you feel that you can just sit there and sit back and just put content out and people are going to come to you? There is something deeper going on there. And I did a lot of work last week and the week before on mindset. There's a fear that's stopping you from being active in growing your business. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Now, possibly you're seeing that clients have spoken to you, but have chosen to go with someone else. How heartbreaking is that? That your clients are speaking to you, but then they turn around and say that they're actually going to go with another coach. Like, I mean, that's one of the biggest punches in the stomach ever, right? Or perhaps your inability to grow your business really starting to take its toll on you and your family. And maybe you feel guilty that you're not able to provide the exact lifestyle that you want for your family or your loved ones. And maybe you're tired of just being careful with money. I've talked about this a lot. Like, who wants to be careful with money? Okay, it's like it's really stressful when you have to think about being careful with money. So where do you want to be? Maybe you want to be attracting a steady stream of clients into your business. Maybe you want to finally kick the day job to the curb and that unappreciative boss, right? Hand in that P45 and step out, burn the bridge because you know you're never going to go back. Yeah, I burnt the bridge so that I could never go back to that industry. But obviously, I had the business set before I made that jump. Maybe you want to stop second guessing yourself and be confident about selling your product or service. And when you begin to apply the things we're going to talk to you about, this will show you and help you to do that. Maybe you want to hear more yeses, right, instead of nos, or you want to have a business you and your loved ones can depend on, and maybe you want to stop people and get them to start taking you seriously. It's really important, because if you don't feel like you're being taken seriously, it just plays a toll on the second guessing, the imposter syndrome. It's just basically setting yourself up to fail. Okay, maybe you want to live a life where you no longer have to be careful with money. You can buy the new car, right? You can buy that latest gadget. You can go on those multiple holidays. You can take time off without feeling guilty about it, right? You can spend time with your watching your young children grow, or your nieces or your nephews, or hang out with your family without feeling guilty. Because that's the thing, when your business isn't doing what you need it to do, all of those things that you do, you feel guilty about it. Why? Because you think that you should be focusing on getting clients. But then when you do focus in on getting clients, it gets to the point where it's like you're pulling your hair out, right? So again, we're going to cover what's going wrong and why you're out of sync with 92% of your audience, which is causing all of the things that we're talking about right now. So what does it mean? When you are experiencing these things, it means that you are out of sync with your audience. It means that you don't understand the buying cycle or the buyer's psychology. So important, right? Because especially within the coaching world, we have this misconception. We think if we create this thing, or if we put a program together, then suddenly they are going to flock. Our clients are going to just come running to us. And how many of you have had that perception? You've worked so hard at creating this thing that you've almost run out of steam when you need to have the most energy, which is actually selling it. Like, selling is a totally different beast altogether. And I don't like the word selling because it's just about having conversations. But what we want to do is we want to make conversations as easy as possible. And to do that, you need to understand the buying cycle and the buyer psychology. So let's delve into that a little bit deeper. There are 4 crucial stages to any buying decision. And this is something that you probably need to write down, because you're going to have to sit and look at your business and begin to think, does my business cater for these buying stages? Because if it doesn't, then it means that you can only speak to a small section of your audience. Okay, so step one is the problem phase, right? So this is where your potential client is just realizing they have a problem they need to solve. They're just realizing it's coming into their mind that they now need to actually begin to solve this thing. They've got enough pain to make a change in their life, okay? Then they move into step 2, and I want you to think about yourself as I'm going through this, because we do it ourselves, but then when it comes to our businesses, we totally forget it and we think that human beings operate in a different way. No, we all operate in a very similar way, especially when it comes to making a buying decision. Okay, so step 2, the research phase. Now that's where your potential client starts to research a solution. If you want to buy something, let's say you want to buy a car, do you just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to buy a car, and then walk out onto the car lot and then choose the car there and then and drive off? No, right? Because the decision to buy a car could span over a couple of months, right? Because you're thinking about it, you're looking at what your needs are, you're looking at what different models there are in the marketplace at the time that's going to suit you, whether you need a 4-door because you've got a family, whether you can afford a sports car because you've always wanted one, but you've still got a family, so it doesn't make sense to buy the sports car. But you understand what I mean? You go through these different phases. Maybe step 3, you then move into the brand choice phase, right? So once you've seen what's out there, you then make a decision on which brand you are going to go with, okay? And then finally, you then decide to purchase. Now, these are the phases that your potential client is going through right now. Now, what is crucial is that you, as the coach, understand and can connect and realize at what stage your potential client is at. Because when you can do that, then what you can do is you can meet them where they're at, you can accelerate them through the rest of the phases and get them to a choice or a position where they're ready to buy and they're ready to work with you. And it's not about forcing anyone, okay? It's not about gimmicks inside your sales calls, okay? It's about helping people to make an informed decision. And when you get good at helping people to make an informed decision, that's when you start to see the transformation and the changes inside your business. And if you're doing any other thing than doing that, this is where your business is falling down. Okay, good. So you're clear on the buyer's decision and how a buyer makes a decision. Just let me know in the chat. Say, yep, I'm clear on that, and I'm going to move on from there. Okay, good. So now you know the buyer's psychology. We now need to talk about the 4 types of client. Okay, the 4 types of client that you are going to bump into. And that could mean you bump into them via Messenger, you bump into them via your posts, you bump into them via a challenge, you bump into them via a webinar, you bump into them via the street, you bump into them via a networking event. I mean, wherever clients come from, you need to have a business that is able to accept and move the energy into a transaction with you, right? So what are the 4 types of client? Well, the first one is the oblivious client. This is the client that you recognize needs your service, but they're too far from noticing it themselves for you to even think about trying to move them on the journey of becoming your potential client. Then you've got the client that's on the lookout, okay? So they are now in that kind of stage 2 phase, 1 and 2 phase, where they realize they have a problem. They're now looking to find a solution to that problem. Now, if you can identify that that's where your client's at, then you can recognize what resources do you need to give them to help them through that process. It's no point trying to just bypass that process, which so many coaches do by just dumping their offer onto someone. That's not going to work. You need to think, okay, they're in this phase. What do I need to give them in order to help them to move past that phase with my brand in mind? Okay, my business in mind. Then you've got 2 more. Okay, you've got the fearful client. Now, this is the client who knows they need help, but they are scared of being sold to, right? These are the ones that usually are rude to you from the time you say hello. Okay, now, oftentimes people take that as a, oh my gosh, fear of rejection, woe is me, like, and start beating themselves up, and then want to go to just the attraction marketing route where they never have to speak to anyone because they're scared of rejection. But actually, when you look at this and you reframe it, you realize it's feedback. And they do need your help. They even know that they need your help too. But it just means that it's going to take a longer process for them to come to the understanding that they need your help and that you can help them. Okay. And again, you need to have assets within your business to be able to do that. And then you've got the ready to go client, the ones that just have done all the research. They know what it is that they're looking for. And as soon as they see it, they're going to go with it. And unfortunately, this is the only type of client that nearly 80% of coaching businesses are set up for, right? If when I say that you're only speaking to 8% of your audience, this is what I mean. You're only speaking to the ready to go clients. And there's a problem with that, right? Because if you've only got a business that can cater to the ready to buy client, herein lies your cash flow problem and why you have your money or your finances have plateaued within your business. Okay, because the if you think about, let's say you've got a micro niche, and within that micro niche, let's look at about 100% of that micro niche. If only 8% of those people your business can actually support, then there lies the issue, because there's 92% of the people that you're not going to be able to bring on board. And that's why you get the starts and the stops, the starts and the stops. Some clients happen and then you then spend ages without, the peaks and the troughs that you get in your business. Sometimes you have a great month, then other months you have none. Well, it's because that month you landed on a good number of the ready to buy clients. But what happened to the other 92%, which you could be nurturing to the point where they eventually are ready to buy, and then they are instantly thinking of you and your brand, because that's ultimately what we want as a brand. Okay. We want, and this is the difference between just having a business and having a brand, okay, and why I believe we need both in this day and age, is because when you want, as soon as your client has the problem that you are a solution to, they instantly think of you and your business. That's the point. That's how you win time and time again. That's how you can beat the big giants in your field, because you build such a connection and a relationship with your potential clients, you've now moved the big competitor to one side, and now you become front of mind. Okay, but that takes a number of interactions with your business. Okay, so the question is, how can you identify whether or not your business is just catering to 8% of the market and leaving out 92% of the market? Well, if your business is dependent on webinars, right? If the webinar is your way to only to bring in clients, well, then that's an indication, okay? Because it means that yes, we know with a webinar there's an element of nurturing, but oftentimes it's not enough to get people over the line, or as many people over the line. Okay. And so that's why you will have a webinar and certain people will turn up, but guess what? None of them buy, or one of two of them buy, but you've got like 30 people on the call or 100 people on the call, right? Now that's because it wasn't enough to nurture them to get them to the point where they went through all of those buying psychology stages that I discussed. If you're focused on challenges, right? Again, a challenge is a bit longer. It may last over 5 days or 7 days. But again, you will have a load of people turn up to a challenge, and then only a very few of them will buy. And that is the ready to buy clients. Okay. So again, you're missing out on 92% of the audience. And again, we know with challenges, there's an element of nurturing, but there's an element of your audience that need more. If you're focused on video sales letters, okay, well, that's just right there and then. Like if they watch the sales letter, if they're ready to buy, boom, they'll move into an interaction with you or a transaction with you. But past that point, if they're not ready to buy and you haven't touched all those other parts of the buyer's psychology, as I discussed, your business is only speaking to 8% of your potential audience. If you run a group program, but like you're doing it every 6 weeks, I mean, this just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So someone does a group program, and then what they do is then they run the program for 12 weeks, and then or for 4 weeks or 8 weeks, however long the program is, and then they wait, and then it comes out like another 3 months later. Now, if you're one of those big hitters where you've got ads running in your business and you make 50K of sales straight off of your ads alone, and then you can afford to kind of run your business every couple of months, right? But if you're starting out and you're not at that scaling stage yet, right? Or if you're in that 8 to 10K mark and you want to start to push forward, you actually need a business that can cater people as soon as they come on board, right? And not have people waiting for too long before they can actually start engaging with you and your service. So, what do you need to do if you want to be able to speak to 100% of your audience, right? And if you want to be able to nurture a larger percentage of your audience than 8%, right? You need to build a client journey. And that becomes your responsibility, right? It's about helping someone to move through those phases of the buyer's psychology I talked about, from phase 1 straight through to actually choosing your brand. Okay, now there's two distinct ways that you can do it. You can either pay for ads and do like retargeting campaigns, but as we know, it comes with a very hefty cost. Okay, now ads are good, and ads are something that you do when you're scaling, and ads are something that you do when you can start reinvesting some of the profits that are coming into your business. I use ads as well, and I communicate about ads as well. However, when you're starting out and you're growing and you're pushing to want to get stable months, okay, then ads can be expensive, especially at the time where you have to have the capital up front to tweak the ads and to get it to work before it starts actually bringing the return in on investment. Or you can build a couple of nurturing assets. And depending where your client is at on their journey and what you need them to believe and understand in order to work with you, then you can choose the appropriate asset to give them at the appropriate time. Key distinction here, okay? What does your client need to believe in order to work with you? Okay, and it's not about convincing or forcing anyone to do anything, but when you're making a decision, let's think about the buyer's psychology. you've got a number of different things going on in your head. Let's go back to the car analogy. Should it be a blue car? Should it be a red car? Should it be a green car? Should it be electric? Should it be diesel? Right? You know, you've got all of these different things and they've got pros and cons to it. Okay, so again, if you want to help someone through that journey, you've got to give them the pros and cons, right? You've got to help them to recognize why they should be working with you and should be choosing your product or service. And so, therefore, you need to clearly understand what it is that they need to be working out in order to decide whether or not they should buy from you. Okay. And then you need to have a test close in there. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say you bump into someone in Messenger and you start having a really nice conversation, and it gets to the point where you begin to realize that you can help this person, and they also are beginning to realize that you can help them, but there's a little bit of resistance there. The resistance comes up because they don't know you really, right? They don't know your work. They don't know what it is that you can do. So rather than just kind of like try and hammer home the point, right, and end up destroying that relationship, the next thing to do is to give them some materials, right? Give them some value. Let them learn about what it is and what stage they're at in their business so they can actually begin to see how you can help them, right? And that is where one of these assets, I call them assets, will come in, right? And they can be something like a webinar, or they could be a challenge again, or they could be a VSL, or they could be with your group program, but elements of your program, right? So you can share elements of your training depending on what that particular person needs. But the key thing is that these things ain't something that you build up a long time to do. You already have them in your vault. Okay, so as soon as someone is at the stage where you are having this conversation, you can then make a decision as to what asset they need in order to move them through the nurturing process. If you think someone's right at the beginning of the journey, then you can give them a longer form or longer piece of content, right? For example, you can turn one of your challenges into a program. Okay, so now if you've done a challenge which is like a 5-day challenge, that's saying you went live for 5 hours, well, now you've got a piece of content that you can repurpose and give to someone. Okay, and that's 5 hours of content. So you know, if they're at the beginning of the journey and they need a longer period to be nurtured, that will be a great resource. Okay, now if you find out that they are um, actually in that kind of phase where they are nearly ready to make a choice on who to go with, then you can give them a shorter piece of content. Okay, and that's where maybe a repurposed webinar comes in, or maybe a video sales letter comes in, and you give them that piece of content. And then guess what you do, though, guys? You follow up, right? You have the conversation, see what insight did they get from the training, right? How else or what else do they need to understand about your program? And in those conversations, you can get a sense of where they're um, a pre-qualification questionnaire. Okay, because it comes to a point where you need to now assess where this particular person is at based on the asset that you've given them. And so you give them a questionnaire, they can then fill that questionnaire in. Okay, and then you can then see where is that particular person at on the journey. Do they need more nurturing, or is it good now to bring them onto a call, right? And then bring them onto a longer sales call where you can then actually enroll them into your product or service. And this becomes really, really easy because now you've got some assets at your disposal, which you know is going to help to handle some objections that people may have. It's going to show you as the go-to, I call it cyber celeb, in your chosen field. It's going to really build great resonance and rapport because you're actually helping people as opposed to just seeing them as dollar signs or as pound signs, right? And this is how, if you're starting out in your business and you want to be able to foster a journey with someone to the point where you can get more yeses than you do nos, then this is how you begin to do it. And this is how you begin to really start building great relationships with your potential clients. Every single client I have a great relationship with. And I instinctively know where they're at, and I understand what it is that they need to be supported through the program. Okay, but you can only do that when you start really caring about someone heart to heart, And the only way that you can do that is if you're part of their journey, right? If you're just trying to come in at the end and then steal their money, their business, as it were, well, are you truly worthy of? Are you truly worth that? Right? Do you deserve it? That's the question. But if you're part of someone's journey and you're part of the process and you're helping them to make the choices and decisions along the way through creating wonderful, great assets, well, then it gets to a point where the conversation is just like, yeah, I'm ready to get started. And then all of that pain and angst that you have about the sales call and the fear that you get before having a sales call, and then the fear you've got during a sales call, or the nice bit that you like doing in the beginning, but then when it comes to actually doing the sell, you get fearful. All of that begins to subside because now you're actually just having a conversation with a friend. And just think about how at ease you are when you're having a conversation with a friend. And that's because you actually know this person because you've helped them on a journey, right? Another good way is you can then develop a Facebook group. That's a beautiful place, okay, for you to nurture someone, okay, and or for you to help and support someone on their journey, to take them on this journey, okay, because that's how I see it. It's taking someone on a journey, giving them the support they need right where they're at. But the difference here is, guys, you need to understand how to do that because otherwise you'll just build a group of absolutely amazing spectators, okay, but nobody's actually moving into the relationship in terms of becoming a buying customer. Because ultimately, what do you want to be doing? Okay, you want to be owning a space in the brain of your potential client. Okay, so that as soon as they have the problem you are a solution to, they instantly think of you and they think of your brand and they think of your business. For me, business and brand are the same thing, they work together, and you need it if you're going to become what I call the cyber celeb in your chosen field. Okay, the person that is respected, that people look to, that can really help them to make a transformation. And when you get to that level, you no longer are in competition with anyone. Okay, because there's something about you and what you do that makes it feel so nice to spend money with you. Okay, because people have to spend money at the end of the day. But I always say you have to make people feel good about doing that. Okay, you have to feel good in the process of doing that, or your business just becomes a chore. Okay, and this is what these brands, whether you like them or you hate them, McDonald's, Apple, Disney, Google, as soon as let's think, I need to find out some information, instantly you think of Google, right? I need Tom to be quiet or Jane to be quiet for a moment. You think of Disney, what film can I put on that can entertain them for a while, right? Oh, I want to, have a reliable laptop. Then you're going to think of Apple, okay? And I'm not a big fan, but they've lasted for a very, very long time. Okay, fast food, McDonald's. Okay, and how do they do it? It's because they understand that they're not going to just get you straight away. If they thought they were going to get you straight away, guess what they would do? They would just have their shop on the high street and they would have no further advertising around it because they would just be getting the ready to buy clients. As soon as you see the shop and you're hungry, you go in and you buy, right? However, they don't do that. Okay. They constantly have touch points in between. It's how ads work, right? They constantly have touch points in between the ad, where you see the sign, you see the logo, etc. Because what do they want? They want when you suddenly think about the food that you're going to buy, or sorry, you think that you're hungry or you feel that you're hungry, suddenly they become one of the brands that you go through the research phase. Oh, do I fancy McDonald's? Do I fancy Burger King? Do I fancy KFC? Whatever the fast food is, right? And I'm not a fan of fast food, but it's just to give you the point. You think about the different ones and then you say, oh, I'm going to have that. Can you see how in a very split second, yeah, literally within 30 seconds before you do Deliveroo or Just Eat, can you see how you go through the buyer psychology? Okay, you feel that you're hungry. You then think about the different brands that could potentially solve that problem. Okay, you then choose one of those brands and then you make the purchase, right? So this is the buyer's psychology. And if your business is not set up to do this, This is why you're only speaking to 8% of your audience and why you're alienating 92% of your audience. And therein lies the problem why you are struggling to get clients on a daily basis, why you can't go into your passion-driven business full time, why you feel like you're constantly chasing clients, why you constantly feel like you're being overlooked, why you are like marred by the imposter syndrome, why you don't have confidence in yourself to, and I could go on and on and on, because guess what? When you have clients inside your business, a lot of these things begin to subside. Why? Because you get the validation that you're looking for. Okay, you get the feedback that you are looking for. And if you don't have clients regularly coming into your business, that's when all of these things really unsurface. And I do believe that you can put those things to rest, okay, and by working on the mindset, but also it also relates to the triggers that are around you as well. And not having clients can cause lots of these things to come to the surface. Okay, so that is what I mean when I say that you are out of sync with 8% of your target audience. Now, if you know that this has resonated with you, okay, if you know that you need to be speaking to a larger part of your audience, if you know you need to be bringing in a steady stream of income in your business, if you're struggling, okay, to go from your passion-driven business, sorry, from your day job into your passion-driven business full time, if you're struggling to build a business that you can depend on, if you're having to tell your loved ones no because you have to be careful with money, if you then go and start feeling guilty about that, if it sometimes brings you to frustration or tears, then it's time to do something about it. Okay, and what I would love to offer you is an opportunity to have a impartial conversation with me. Let's have a chat for 15 minutes. Okay, let me be the external pair of eyes. Let's look at what assets are missing from your business right now and how you can build an effective client acquisition process that works for you every single time. A client acquisition process that feels good, that has nurturing and value at its heart, okay, and actually does the job, where you can build great relationships with people, turn a lot of those no's into yeses, and enable you to be able to foster someone on a journey. Because that's what we want as coaches, right? We want to be able to create transformation. Well, your process of transformation needs to start from the moment someone comes into contact with your business. It's not waiting until they get onto your program. By that time, it's too late. Only 8% of people will do that. What about the 92% of people that you want to help? Right? And we turn around and we blame them, we blame the other people, but actually, no. It's because we do not have the knowledge that I've just explained to you to ensure that we create a process that enables someone to go through that bias psychology, which I just demonstrated. You go through, even if you go through in a 30-second window, they have to run that bias pattern. And if you want to be in the game, you've got to be able to facilitate that. Now, if you know that this resonates with you, then what I want you to do is I want you to click or drop ready below. Okay, and either myself or a member of my team will come and have a conversation with you. And all I want to do is have a 15-minute chat with you just to look at where your business is at and begin to help you to think about what assets you need to have inside your business to begin to do the things that I've just talked about in this webinar. As always, guys, I have super enjoyed delivering this content to you. Hopefully you can feel my energy. I'm just like so excited about all of this. I love the Business Booster live streams. Remember, we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Where I dive into all the things that you need, or the things that you are, let's call it your blind spots, right? The things that you haven't recognized in your own business. This is what you get when you join this group and when you take advantage of the resources that are available. Okay, if you're at a stuck in stage, direct message me. I've got resources for days that I can give you, okay, that will help you to move to the next stage in your journey. But you have to take the impetus. Yeah, you have to let pride and ego go to one side and acknowledge that actually you're at a stage that you need help, and get the help that you need. Because once you do that, everything will shift and change for you. So as I said, comment ready below in the comments, and I will look forward to seeing you on another Business Booster live stream. All right, until next time, guys, take care.